News, views, voices of the global Indian community. India abroad.
So I think the country under Prime Minister Modi has been blessed with a leader who, coming from those grassroots, coming from a life of an average person who had to struggle to rise up, and his proactive efforts to travel across the country, north to south, east to west, gave him that unique empathy, understanding of the average person. And that has been one of the hallmarks of how Modi has acted upon in terms of being able to understand that pulse of the average man, to think long term, to not think about the next 5 years, but next 50 years. And that has shown up in his fundamental reforms to create an infrastructure which has taken the country now on a path to become the developed economy. The infrastructure improvements, the country cannot be unified without transportation infrastructure and communications infrastructure. And on both fronts, the country is now leapfrogging every 3, 4, 5 years. The mobile penetration is the perfect evidence of how fast the communication infrastructure has changed in the country. The banking infrastructure has transformed, put India on the landscape in the world. The transformation of the country in terms of the highways and railways is again just phenomenal example of in terms of how many rails, how many highways are now being built, which are shortening the time and integrating the country. But I would say the biggest among all the things underlying one common theme, understanding the common man, having that empathy with the average person, and then leading by example. You can have many politicians who can say something but mean something else. But here you have a person who is leading by example, and his leadership, his work ethics, his delivering performance from his own account is perpetuating in terms of every minister, every ministry following and being forced to lead that, to follow that. So those are some of the hallmarks. I think there are many proof points of how fast the country has transformed, but those fundamentals are going to take the country into the next 30, 40, 50 years. Oh, absolutely.
In what way?
Absolutely. I mean, when I came to this country back in 86, the first, at the time, we were known about, India was known through the lens of professionals, primarily technologists, engineering talent. Came 2000 when India became famous for the IT outsourcing. The Y2K suddenly brought India to prominence in terms of the tech talent which supported so many industries. But from that point onwards, now in the last 10, 12 years, we have leapfrogged that, not just the IT skills, but skills across service economy, skills across banking, medical services, accounting services, manufacturing outsourcing, R&D outsourcing. India has now completely transformed from the technology prowess to services prowess. The industries which are driven by intellectual know-how are now the strengths of India, and that is a massive transformation in terms of how outsiders view the country. And now last 10 years, that perception of the country is through indirectly the perception of Modi as a great leader. And how he communicates, how he is able to take that pulse of the average citizen and being able to articulate through the long-term policies which are driving the country's transformation. I think that has been the fundamental change. So to the country, yes, we have always had the technology talent, but translating the technology talent into fast growth and then articulating to the worldwide stage has been the fundamental changes in the last 10 years. I think one of the toughest thing India is going to face now is the climate and environment. Last just a month and a half, last few weeks alone, is showing now the country, many parts of the country facing the temperatures of 48 degrees, 49 degrees, unsustainable. That is almost implying massive epidemic of heat strokes. And going through right now. And that is not a one-time thing. With the way that temperature extremes are happening, so one of the first things Modi has to undertake is put together a climate and environmental resilience policy And IITians will be happy to contribute as a think tank because we desperately need that. Number two is he needs to bring his performance culture down to 3 or 4 layers in the civic society, civic governance, in terms of translating that culture to the state governments, the state government to the local governments, because that will have further profound changes, lasting changes. Number three, we have come a long way in terms of privatization of many industries, because privatization is the best way to unlock the fundamental human talent. We have seen that evidence again and again in the IT industry. We have seen that happening now in the services industry, and we need to bring out more and more infrastructure industries in the privatization, so that way the more assets can be unlocked, more investment can be possible. So those three things, I think, number one, perpetuating that culture of performance. Number two, focusing on the climate and environment are going to be huge challenges for the country. And then continue to penetrate this expectation in the local governments, from the central government to state government to local governments. Those three, along with the privatization, I think will be huge changes which we can initiate in the first 100 days. Oh, huge. We have a fundamental responsibility, because the 2047 is incumbent in country fully leveraging the power of technology, innovation, and collaborative approach. Technology and innovation are the two ingredients which cuts across the Indian diaspora, because the diaspora has come out of the country for those technology and engineering talent. So that is, I think, this diaspora can make a huge difference. In fact, we had a webinar with Nitin Gadkari, and this was the first ask he had. And we are taking up that ask by bringing together the best minds and identifying areas where we can help the country grow its exports and also substitute its imports. And that's a perfect example how we can harness that massive intellectual capacity across our technology, across our medical, across other domains, to contribute back intellectually. Because country, I think we have come a long way, is no longer about capital. I hear again and again when I talk to the ministers, they don't have shortage of the funds nowadays. What they want is the solutions. What they want, innovation, technology, ideas. And those are the things which will take us to the developed economy more than anything else. And that is where the Indian diaspora has the best chance to contribute.
Wonderful.